And then I had a little sixth grader kind of raise his hand and tell me what happened to Haman. I was like, well, thank you. And then of having
Tell everybody what happened.
yeah, so he's like impaled on a pole. And so I was like, okay, thank you for letting me know that. And then the kindergartners were like, what does that mean? And so we had to break that down then. So that was certainly a unique experience.
Yeah. How much do you play into their cultural antics? Like brain rot, the memes and stuff.
Yes,
like,
yeah.
do you buy in? Do you kind of engage with that with them?
I don't normally on most of them because I have some other kids that will tell me true meanings of these terms. So I will not, once I know the true meanings.
Not saying that anymore.
Yeah, right.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Stone Church Podcast, Episode 2. We are joined today by our kids' pastor, Pastor Michael Dizanni. And if you want to introduce yourself? Or
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me on. I'm Pastor Michael. I'm children's pastor here at Stone Church. I've actually grown up here my whole life, for those who don't know. And now I've been serving on staff since 2019, so 6 years here. I love what I do.
So even though you're the youngest staff member, you've been here the longest.
Yeah, Pastor Adrian and I, it's 6 years, so yeah.
Okay. And you grew up here at this church?
I did, yeah. So I have grown up here my whole life. My entire family actually has been here at Stone Church. They're pretty much their entire lives.
Wow.
My dad and my mom met in the youth group here. My dad started going when he was 5. My mom was 8.
No kidding.
And then they grew up and met in the youth group, got married here at the church. My brother grew up here, served in many areas.
Yeah.
Got married here. Sister, same thing. So
you never wanted to branch out and try something new?
No, man. Yeah, we were here. We found our church home. We knew the Lord was moving here, and we've just planted our roots here.
That's awesome. What was your experience as a kid here at Stone?
Yeah. So oddly enough, I was the kid that I was actually afraid to go into kids' church. When I was a little boy, I would just stay with my parents in the adult service. And I would sit in there. I would bring some little coloring pages and I would just doodle on my coloring pages and I would eat my crackers. And I knew that I was very afraid to go in.
What were you afraid of?
To be honest, I'm not really sure. I guess it's the new experience, going in, it was really scary for me. I guess because I didn't really know anybody and it was just really daunting. But I ended up taking my brother to actually finally bring me into kids' church for the first time. And I always tell people once I entered into kids ministry, I've never left.
Yeah.
And so,
what got you involved in kids ministry? Did you volunteer first, or did you just jump right in?
Yeah. So I actually started at a young age with Pastor Alden and Debbie Tinsley, my children's pastors. They allowed me to start serving at a young age. So I was probably 12 or 13 when I started kind of shadowing some of the older high school students. And I just started helping out with the technical equipment. So I would help running sound and computer lights, doing setup and teardown every week.
Mm-hmm.
And soon after, I just started developing a love for just being with them and being in ministry and just being very drawn to the children's ministry. And so then when I was in high school, I started to take on more and increase responsibilities, increase roles. And I would start leading games, I would lead worship. And during that time, I was just really feeling like there was a call upon my life. Nothing else really made sense for me.
Yeah.
There was never another career path. And so then it was just really feeling that Lord had his hand upon me.
The first pastor that you serve under plays a big role in kind of your ministry philosophy and how you operate. So what was Pastor Alden's leadership style and what did you learn from him?
Yeah, he was just, incredibly caring. The person that would always, I remember he'd always just give his signature fist bumps to all the kids and to all the leaders. And, he really he took me under his wing, even to this day as a mentor and somebody that speaks in my life. And he was just always caring. He would always, even for his message style was always illusions and object lessons, trying to bring the message to life. And I was always fascinated by that. Mm-hmm. And so those are the things I try to replicate in my ministry.
So when you walk into Stone Church and you head over to the kids check-in, you see this phrase, building a strong foundation. Did you come up with that, or what's the story behind that?
Yeah, I came up with that. So when I launched the ministry in 2019, I just really felt like that was something just super important. So it comes out of Matthew chapter 7, the wise and the foolish builders, those that build their house upon the rock. that strong foundation that is Jesus, it shall stand. And so my whole heart behind that was to really try to just encourage, as I minister to the kids, and even as they grow out of my ministry, they enter into yours and even adult ministry, that their foundation is just set upon Christ. When the storms of life come, or when the trials come, the temptations come, if Christ is their foundation, that it can always fall back on Him and understand that He is there for them no matter what. That's my heartbeat. That's my goal.
That's
So
awesome. I love that. Okay, so let's say there's a kid that comes in, a little Michael Dizanni, and they're like freaked out. They don't want to join. You have the experience of being in their shoes, so like, how do you approach that? I'm curious.
yeah, it's a great question. So I try, I really do. I feel like I am drawn to them almost, the ones that are a little bit more nervous to come in. So I just try to, for them, I'm not super like in their face. I'll kind of take it, slower. I encourage them that they don't have to play the games if they don't want to. They don't have to participate, but they can sit in the back and just kind of see what we do. I even encourage parents, if they are, if their child is a little bit nervous or they're even nervous, they can come in and watch any of our services. We have seats open for them any Sunday.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I just try to make them feel welcome. Every Sunday, regardless of any new visitors, then we do call them like special visitor time.
Okay.
And we pass out our special bags to them. They can pick a prize out of the treasure chest,
That's
which is
awesome.
always a super fun
Yeah, tell me
way.
about your services. So like, if I'm a parent and I want to sit in and watch a service, what am I going to see?
Yeah, so every service is a little bit different, and it's intentionally that way just to keep the kids guessing, keep it fun every week. But our standard is we usually kick off with game time. We have our worship time, our message time, and sometimes it's characters in there. Sometimes it's more small group based. Sometimes I'm doing an object lesson to really drive it home. Sometimes we're really on a verse, and that's what we're really going to try to help to reinforce the lesson. So
Mhm.
every day there's a focus, and we just kind of build upon what we're trying to teach the kids.
Yeah. Do you feel like it's a struggle for you to make some maybe more mature themes in the Bible or heavy topics? Like, how do you present that stuff to a kid who's
Yeah, that's
third
honestly
grade?
one of the hardest things that I've experienced is trying. There are some topics, obviously, in the Bible that are, quite hard to kind of break down for a child. So I try really hard to just use children's terms. Often my search history is like child definition. How can I really break this down for a third grader or a fourth grader so they can really understand it?
Yeah.
So yeah, I try hard to, a lot of it is repetition too. If it is a harder topic, I'll try to repeat it a lot to help them to really
Hmm.
understand it. So
And each kid's at a different level too.
for sure.
Have you ever tried to break something down in a child like way and then had a kid jump in and correct you?
I certainly have. Yeah, there was a specific instance where I was talking about Esther, and I was trying to kind of not bring forth the full story of how Haman ended up kind of getting his comeuppance. And so I didn't really break that down. And then I had a little sixth grader kind of raise his hand and tell me what happened to Haman. I was like, well, thank you. And then ended up having
Tell everybody what happened.
yeah, so he's like impaled on a pole. And so I was like, okay, thank you for letting me know that. And then the kindergartners were like, what does that mean? And so we had
Yeah.
to break that down then. So that was certainly a unique experience.
Yeah. I want your opinion on this generation that we're dealing with, because we're both ministering to a lot of Gen Alpha.
Mhm.
I've got Gen Z. When does Gen Z end? Are all your kids Gen Alpha now?
I'm pretty sure, yeah, so Gen Alpha will be 2010 to 2024. So I'm pretty sure it's all Alpha and
Yeah.
then now
So you can
Beta.
be 14 right now and you're Gen Alpha.
Yeah.
Wow.
hmm
What are some unique challenges that come along with this generation?
Yeah.
Actually, let's start with some positives, because I think everyone is very quick to talk about the challenges and shortcomings.
Mhm.
But what do you see are like some positive things or hopeful things?
Yeah, I mean, a positive, which also then could be the negative, is the fact that the technology that is at the fingertips.
Hmm.
So there's pros and cons to that. It's definitely what I've seen.
Even in like second and third grade?
I have actually some kids in the ministry that I have seen over the years that have better phones than I do. So
Really?
yes, they have, like, before I got my current phone, I had an older phone, and then they would tell me like, I have the brand new iPhone 14 Pro. And I
Wow.
was like, and he's like, I'm in third grade. So
Yeah.
it's certainly, yeah, I see that nowadays. The technology that's at their fingertips is wild.
Yeah.
So there's definitely those are pros and cons. I can see that. The positive side too is that, like, they are all the information that they're able to receive. I mean, kids are like sponges. And so I
Mm-hmm.
just see them, even some of the times, like some of our messages that are a little bit tougher, that I think could be a little harder for them to understand, they grasp it. And that truly blesses me to see their just capacity to understand
Yeah.
the Word of God.
Yeah, I think I see that in our youth too. They're very inquisitive, and it's a really good thing to be curious and inquisitive and also have access to information, because those are the ingredients for learning, you know? So, um, I think that a challenge I see, and maybe you relate to this, is presenting the Word of God and the messages that are found in the Bible in a way that can hold their attention and like be thought provoking and engaging to them, because I actually got really discouraged about this like at some point like a couple years ago. I was thinking like, how are pastors supposed to compete with like scrolling? Because there's like this novelty trigger in your brain. It's like I got to see something new every 10 seconds. And I'm like, man, are we just at a loss? Are we going to have to start putting Subway Surfers in our videos and stuff like that? Or like every 5 minutes have something big happen in the room? You know what
Yeah,
I'm
right,
saying?
right.
Like I had a kid at my last church who every morning he would wake up at 5 a.m. and from 5 to 9 a.m. he would just play video games, like
Wow.
Grand Theft Auto too, which is not a
No,
kid-friendly
yeah,
game.
no,
So
certainly not.
he's just like going around robbing banks for 4 hours and stuff like
Goodness.
that.
Yeah.
And then he comes to church and he can't sit still. He can't sit through the message. And the parents are wondering why. So it's like,
Certainly, yeah.
so I don't know if you struggle with that too.
Yeah, attention span is certainly one. I try really hard. It's multimedia throughout the day. So I try really hard. The message is always the truth of the Lord's word is paramount. So we're trying to get that home, but I try a lot of different ways
Mm-hmm.
to make it engaging. So sometimes I'm just acting out the story. I'm on my knees talking about the Israelites grumbling. I'm
Mm-hmm.
jumping and trying to bring forth the story of Noah's Ark, even if they've heard it before.
Yes.
So it's all different types of props and illustrations and sometimes actors trying to get it to
Mm-hmm.
life. So if I can, capture their attention, I think that's huge.
Yeah.
So
Okay. I'm curious how you explain the gospel to I don't know, let's say a 9-year-old. That's
yeah,
probably your average age. Like, what wording would you use to communicate?
yeah. I talk about the fact that we've all made mistakes. We first break down what sin is.
Mm-hmm.
So I have them usually ask me what is sin, and we talk about sin is the wrong things that we say, do, and think. And that's a definition that we usually use.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll talk about if you've ever, said a bad word, you've disobeyed your parents, you've cheated on a test, you've done something that you know is wrong, but you did it anyway. And then usually all the hands are up by that time, like, just being honest with me. And I
Yeah.
usually ask them, like, be honest with me. Have you done those things?
Mm-hmm.
And then we talk about what Jesus did for us on the cross, why he went to the cross for us. And so, yeah,
What do you say?
yeah, I'll tell him that he went for us because he loves us.
Mm-hmm.
He paid the penalty for sin, which is death. And he died on the cross for you and me because he cares about us. And he wants nothing more than to have a relationship with you and I.
Beautiful.
And so, yeah, I usually then, have them close their eyes, and then we invite Jesus into our hearts and have them raise their hands
Yeah.
and do that. Nobody looking around, nobody, in this moment. I usually tell them, let's keep our eyes closed, our heads bowed. We can fold our hands for focusing,
Yeah.
and nobody looking around, just between you and the Lord in this moment. And if you'd be honest with me and say, Pastor Michael, I want to accept Christ as my Lord and Savior, if you could just raise your hand really quick and put it right back down.
Mm-hmm.
And then after they do that, I always encourage them, more so than me seeing your hand, Christ sees your hand,
Mm-hmm.
and he sees your courage in that moment.
Yeah.
And that kind of will help some of the uneasiness, because it's a big step to raise your hand.
Did you take that step when you were their age?
I did.
Who
Yeah,
walked you through that?
I can't pinpoint exactly how old I was. I know I was in children's ministry under Pastor Alden and Debbie, and I can't remember the exact Sunday, but I know it was a children's church Sunday where I
Yeah.
gave my life to Christ. So,
What is a win for you when it comes to like an individual kid?
mhm,
Um, I guess a win might look different for a person in kids' church than an adult or a youth student,
mhm,
because at least the way that I was taught about ministry and about pastoring,
Mhm.
sometimes we think, or we'd like to think, that discipleship is like a B C D,
Sure.
clear, you think of like a 5-course meal. You get the first course first, and then,
Right.
so, but he's like, ministry is more like a buffet, because you've got some kids that are at, step A, some that are C. So,
I mean, a win for me week to week is for them to really be able to not only like know the message and to be able to repeat the lesson that we just taught, but to really like understand it, to grasp it, and hopefully apply it to their life. That's a huge win for me,
yeah.
week to week. And for me, seeing them from when they step in as a kindergartner and then leave as a sixth grader, to see their growth, to hopefully tell me that they learned something, that they grew in Christ, that they know that He's there for them, that He's got a plan for their lives.
Yeah. Okay. How much do you play into their cultural antics? Like brain rot, the memes and stuff.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
do you buy in? Do you kind of engage with that with them?
I don't normally on most of them, because I have some other kids that will tell me true meanings of these terms. So I will not, once I know the true meanings,
Not
and if they're
saying that anymore.
yeah, right. So if I know the meaning, of course, is not really biblical or sharp, I'll avoid that. But then I will toss in a 6 or 7 at times, just to make sure they're engaging with me. So that's a fun one.
They perk up,
They
huh?
perk up for sure.
I saw,
Yeah. So
I saw this teacher. He had a little counter in his. I think I might have told you this. A little counter in his pocket, and the whole school day, he would press it every time he heard someone say 6, 7, and it was like over 80 times during a school day he
Right.
heard that
Yeah.
phrase. And I think people are getting so tired of it
It
too.
is, yeah. I have
Might
I
have
have
run
high
its
school
course.
students that help me and serve with me, and then they're just shaking their head every time because
Yeah, I took my students to Portillo's after Thrive Conference,
Mhm.
and the order number was something ended with 67,
Yeah.
and everyone was like, "Ah!" And you should just see the crushed look of defeat on the employee who was giving the food. Like, he hated his job, man. Yeah. Um. So I've heard it said that Next Gen Ministry is just as much pastoring the students as it is with the parents. Obviously we're not the lead pastor at this church, but we deal with families. We don't just deal
Mhm.
with the students. So what's that been like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it is paramount to, I mean, I'm ministering to the kids, but also the parents. The biggest thing that I've learned is communication is super key. So I try really hard to make sure that I'm keeping parents informed. They have a lot going on throughout the week with homework and activities and all the things that the kids have going on. But if I can try to really just not only remind them of things that are happening, but every week I do a Sunday recap in my Facebook group as well, just to kind of just to let them know what we learned. So just trying to keep them informed, keep them in the know of what we're doing.
Mhm.
I think that has been one huge thing that I've learned.
Yeah.
So,
How do you deal with maybe not seeing immediate fruit for your labor that you're putting in?
mhm,
A lot of times, just from the conversations I've had with other kids pastors, it's like, you know, they might not know or appreciate what the time that I'm putting in until they're out of high school, and they look back and like that was my
yeah,
story. I had
yeah,
an awesome kids pastor, Michael Grove, who
hmm oh yeah,
and I don't think I really appreciated it until I was older and I looked back like, wow, like he set the stage for my spiritual growth
hmm
going forward. So, is that difficult for you?
yeah. I mean, I heard it said one time. Someone told me, you don't know the seeds that you're planting in their lives right now. Only the Lord knows, and they may not know till later on. But you know, I think it's just I try my best to present the gospel in any way that I can,
Mhm.
show them how much that I care about them, and most importantly, how much the Lord cares. So
Mhm.
it's hard at times, but I just try to just put it in the Lord's hands and try
Yeah.
to see if they can really, get to know Him more.
Have you gotten feedback from your kids?
I have, yeah, certainly ones too. They even like will graduate, and then they'll be like, "Oh man, like I thank you for this, or thank you for that, thank you for
Mhm.
being there for me for that." So yeah, that
Yeah.
feedback, I mean, it just means the world.
Yeah.
So
That's good.
yeah.
What drives you personally? Because I know it's not an easy job. I know it's demanding.
Mhm.
What keeps the fuel in your tank?
Yeah, honestly, seeing the kids really encountering the Lord, growing in Him, being able to just walk with them is what really just it
Mhm.
drives me. Seeing a kid come up to me and saying that he was touched by the ministry is just like so fulfilling, so rewarding.
Mhm.
I mean, even if it's just a character that just touched them. There's characters that are in the ministry and that character made them laugh and made them smile, or even just little things like that. I think it's
Yeah.
just so awesome.
So tell me about these characters you got.
Yeah, so I have a lot of friends.
A
I have
lot
a
of
lot of
friends. A
friends.
lot of special
So
guests
a
on
lot of
the
special guests that come in. Surfer Dude is one of them. He's one of the most iconic. He is a surfer.
He's a dude.
He's a dude. He's a dude. He's a surf dude, and he loves catching waves. Really, all throughout the year. He
Wow.
comes. Mr. Important is another favorite. He has a lot of money, and he's
Oh.
got 2 gold watches, and he comes out with sunglasses, and he talks really slow because he's so important. And
Yes.
so he comes out a lot. So he's another classic. Rush Rapido, he's a
Yeah.
great one. He's an Italian American, so he comes out and he gets a lot of things confused, and the kids really have to help him because
Yeah.
he doesn't know a lot of things.
Yes.
Jerry and Barry's another one. They are best of friends. Jerry is very silly. Sometimes he'll be napping on stage, and Barry's got to come in and remind him what the lesson is.
Whip
and
him
so-
into shape a
Right.
little bit.
Yeah, Barry has to always help out Jerry, but they
Yes.
end up always getting a lesson, just to make
Yes.
sure that the kids, know it. So that's always good. We've got a couple new ones too that we've had in the ministry lately. Austin the Australian.
Oh, what's
Good.
he about?
He's an Australian.
Yeah, that's good.
He comes out in his his nice attire, and yeah, he's a lot of fun. He usually has a lot of pets, all animals, and he usually tries to teach his animals like how to dance or sing or play video games or something. So that one's fun. Super Dave is a new one that has been.
Oh, wow.
He's a superhero, but he's afraid of most things like homework and broccoli and chores. So that's a big one.
Yeah.
So
What's his superpower?
He doesn't really have one. So he's trying his best. He's afraid of heights too.
Yeah.
He just he kind of goes around and
So when you decide on who to have come out,
Yeah.
is it relating to the message or the theme?
yeah, every time that they're in there, the character, they're always reinforcing the lesson.
That's awesome.
So.
What are you talking about right now? What are they going through?
Yeah, we just finished a series called The Rock, learning all about Peter. So it was a 5-week series. We just finished that, and now we'll do a standalone lesson this Sunday on giving thanks.
Yeah. Tell me about Peter. What did you teach him about Peter?
We did it, yes. We broke it all the way down, like different ones. First was like, you got to obey the Lord, you got to obey his commands. So we went through that. We talked about how we got to give Jesus our all. Peter left everything to follow him, so we got to give Jesus our all. Another one was we got to keep our eyes on Jesus. As soon as Peter took his eyes off of Jesus, he began to sink. And so we talked about how we got to keep our eyes on him. And so that's just a little kind of
That's
snippet
cool.
of what we learned. So.
What's up next for you?
Yeah, we got this Give Thanks series, or just actually one lesson, and then we're going to go into our Christmas series called The Real Christmas Story.
There you
And
go.
we'll talk about, all the fun characters in the Bible.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And we're going to be working on a video.
We are, yeah. And it's going to be, it's Christmas Spectacular. Stone Kids Christmas Spectacular is going to be epic. We're going to have inflatables, cookies. Every child's going to receive a gift.
Wow.
And I have a special message that day.
And when's this happening?
Sunday, December 21st at 10 o'clock.
So be there.
So, yeah.
Bring your kids.
Yeah. Invite some friends too. It's going to be
Yeah.
epic. So
What are some of your biggest events throughout the year that you look forward to?
we've got, I think it's like 5 of them that I look forward to. I mean, Nerf Battle, Trunk or Treat, Vacation Bible School, and then Christmas and Easter. We really try to make super exciting for the kids.
Yeah. Do you know the theme yet for VBS
I
this
don't,
year?
not yet. That'll be, I think, around the new year. I'll start
Okay.
to develop that and kind
Oh,
of give me a
man.
little sneak peek and start figuring out plans.
If you're listening and you haven't been to VBS, get plugged in if you've got kids that are able to attend or if you want to volunteer, because you guys go all out. Like, just talk about some of the stuff you guys do.
No, I
in
appreciate
previous
it.
years.
I appreciate it,
I'm
man.
impressed by it. I think it's awesome.
We try to make it bigger and better every year. We've been blessed to have over 100 kids join us the last several years. And I try to make it more fun every year. So this past year was a superhero VBS. We had superheroes come make an appearance every day. But then we had actors come and play like superheroes. So I had a company come,
Wow.
an entertainment company come, and they, we had like the real Captain America, the real Batman.
That's
So
awesome.
that was really fun. That was
Yeah.
our big special prize or surprise. And we also had a big prize that we gave away. We gave away like punch balloons to all the kids on the last day. So
Yeah.
we have a format we run through. for 3 straight days, and then the last day is like our grand finale. And
Yeah.
so that's inflatables, and we'll have just a bunch of free hot dogs and snow cones and
Mm-hmm.
cotton candy the one year. So candy bars, and then inflatables are out there. I mean, we did a foam
Yes.
party the last 2 years. We've had petting zoos come through. So every year it's trying to make it bigger and better.
It's a dream, man.
Yeah.
If I was a kid, we didn't have VBS at my church. We did
Yeah.
do kids camp, so we would go down to Carlinville and stuff.
Hmm.
But I think there's something special about transforming this church because
Hmm.
when you walk in, you know it's VBS
Yes.
time. So I love it, man. I'm really
Yeah,
excited for this year. I know it's kind of looking
for
forward
sure.
for it, but I'm very excited.
Mhm.
I know a lot of senior pastors who started off in either youth or kids ministry.
Mhm.
But funnily enough, I also know quite a few kids pastors who have been in the game for decades. Do you have like an idea future wise looking forward? Do you want to stay in kids ministry?
Yeah, I mean, I really don't know what the Lord has. I don't. If the Lord has me in kids ministry for the rest of my life, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Whatever the Lord has, I'll kind of see. I'm young now, so maybe if I'm older and I'm not as effective, and then we'll see. The kids are like, oh, he's too old to
Yeah.
minister, but we'll see. Whatever the Lord has, and I'll just follow His steps.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. That's awesome. Yeah, I get asked the same question. I'm kind of in the same place as you.
yeah.
Like, I know I feel so at peace with the job I have now
Mhm.
and the position the Lord has me in, but I'm not ruling off the table one day if he calls me to step in a different direction.
Yeah, I think I'll know too at that time. I think if He'll start preparing me that way, and if that's the Lord's will, I'll jump into that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think the cool thing about kids ministry is that you're really able to be creative and do things that like I am a little bit jealous that you're able to do. Like I love performance and skits and like, stuff like that, like
yeah,
having characters and stuff. I just don't know if it would land as well for like a 16 to 18 year
yeah,
old. So have you always been like that, like creative like
yeah.
that?
I try really hard. I mean, sometimes it's funny, like you guys in the office, we might be working on something like very serious, and I don't know, I'm coming through, I'm finishing a script outline for a character, like it's so it's not sometimes I'm like, oh man, I just finished my character
You mean
script,
they're
so
scripted?
yeah. So,
Goodness.
yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I try adding in different things. Now I'm trying to like edit down some new videos. I have a new app that I'm using on my iPad to kind of edit down videos. So now I'm putting those in for the kids. And so what I'll do is like after the character's done,
Hmm.
I usually have a video play, and it's usually a video of me in there. So I'm in the kitchen then, and then like I'll wait for the video to be done,
Yes.
and so then I'll come back out after the video's over.
Have you
So
been doing this since you started? Like this
no,
kind of.
this one I've added those in last like maybe year,
Okay.
and so I'm kind of putting those in.
They've been going over well.
Yes, yeah, because then I come back out after the video's over, and they're like, "Where'd you go?" So that was always fun. So
Yeah. Tell me about longevity when it comes to going back to the foundation discussion.
mhm.
How do you ensure, to the best of your ability, that the things that they're being taught is retained as they get older?
Yeah, everything I try really hard to not only like ministering, but then like partnering with parents too, because really it starts at home as well and
Mm,
reinforcing what we're trying to teach. And so yeah, I try to encourage them, getting into the Bible, praying. We it's all building blocks, I think, in kids ministry. So we try really hard to, even some things that, like when I was little, I didn't really know, even growing up in church, like, why do we do communion?
mm,
What is water baptism? Why do we worship? So we try, I mean, every year I have those topics that I will always hit on. It's yearly.
mhm.
And we try to just build those blocks where they just like know, okay, that's why we do this. That's why we take communion.
Yeah.
So, eventually when they're in that adult service, they know not only like why we do it, but the significance behind it. And so
Yeah.
I think that helps a lot to just, just growing their faith, building their faith. And that's really, by the time they graduate, I pray that they,
Mhm.
really understand.
And it's nice when the parents are plugged in and they are contributing and they're, interested in what is going on with their kid.
Hmm.
It's not always the case though. Sometimes you've got kids that come from really troubled households, maybe parents who are unbelievers
Hmm.
or who, would never step foot in this church.
Hmm.
Um, how do you how do you minister to a kid that's in that kind of situation?
Yeah. I try, every scenario is different. So I try to put myself in their shoes. and just love on them the best way that I can. And I
Mm-hmm.
try to just do whatever I can to, be there. If it's, again, if they're a little bit more quiet, I'll just try to help them in that way. And then I try getting them involved. There's little small moments like that.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just me playing with them,
Mm-hmm.
they just need a friend. Or maybe it's an extra toy on that extra, just to kind of help them out a
There
little
you
bit.
go.
So,
Yeah.
little things like that. I just try to really show them. My heartbeat is also to show them that I really genuinely care about them.
Mm-hmm.
That's my heart. I mean, I pray that they know that as they enter into the ministry. All the volunteers, we love on them, and we try to, point them to Christ.
Well, a lot of times the kid's not going to remember what you said. They're going to remember how you made them feel
Amen. Right.
and the time you spent with them.
Mhm.
We've talked a lot about kids ministry. I want to know about you personally, man. Like, what are you learning right now? What are you going through? You have been taking classes and stuff. So
Yeah,
where are
yeah.
you at in your journey?
Yeah, so officially, graduated Bible college. Took me a little longer, just working through that more part time, working full time. But officially, graduated Bible college, got my degree. Been a credential minister now for 3 years, and now I'm able to go to step 2 now with licensing, and so just working through that, and so that's been exciting. And then,
Mhm.
yeah, just I've been going through. I've got different Zoom calls I'm a part of, different groups, children's pastors that I just get together with, and we just
Really?
edify each other. We share ideas. One of them is with the National Kidmin Director, and we have a great time just, seeing how we can just learn more things and, better our
Yeah.
skills and all.
What's the benefit of that? Like, what do you get out of that experience?
Yeah, relationships is huge. And then just gleaning from them. Some of them have been in kids ministry for a number of years. And so just being able to see, what they've done, what's worked, what hasn't worked. And, not everything works in every church, but some of the ideas I've been able to glean from, I'm like, wow, that is incredible.
Yeah.
I'll give you one. We actually had one of them was a worship reminders things. We've been doing this the last several weeks, where before we enter into our worship time,
Mm-hmm.
I have a slide now that has just reminders for the kids. And so I tell them, like, listen, we're going to enter into worship now. And the first thing we have to do is we got to make sure we focus on Jesus. Number 2 is we don't want to be distracting to others. So we don't want to distract others while we're worshiping, because they are trying to worship. And so I tell them, maybe your siblings are sitting next to you, maybe a friend is sitting next to you, but don't distract them, because the Lord might be wanting to do something really special here,
Yeah.
and you don't want to bother them during this time.
Yes.
And so we go over that, and then I tell them there's also different ways we can worship. You can sing, you can dance. If you want to just raise your hands, if you want to close your eyes, maybe the Lord will give you a word. He can speak to you.
Yeah.
And so we've been doing that the last several weeks, and it's brought a lot of just attention. They've been really focused. In fact, a little girl told me, I think it was last Sunday, she came up and she was praying, and she told me that song ministered to her, and that just touched her. So
Did she say the word ministered, Pastor Michael?
she said touched. I said minister, but she said touched her
That's
heart.
basically the
So
same thing.
it is,
Like,
yeah.
praise God, man,
Yeah,
for
so
that.
that was powerful.
That's so fun. I was that kid. I was the distraction when I was in kids ministry, man. I was, during worship one time, me and my friends got in the back and we put our chairs in a little circle, and we stood on our chairs and put our arms around each other, and we started singing happy birthday in the middle of worship. And my pastor was furious, because not at all eyes on Jesus.
Yeah, right,
Everything
right,
you
yeah.
just said, don't distract your neighbors. We crossed off every one of those
Yeah, right.
lists. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I build in times, there's also times too that we're going to be talking,
Mhm.
so then there's moments where I want them to really be focusing.
When you
you
say
know.
we're going to be talking, what do you mean?
Yeah, so others, I do a lot of call and response. So especially
Okay.
during the message time, I'll be like, shout out the answer, or give me a hand raise. Or if we do reviews a lot of times at the end of the service. So we're calling on kids, asking for them to, see if they know the questions to what we
Yeah.
learned. So there's a
Well,
lot of
it's
those
it's
moments.
one thing to learn and to understand, but it's another thing to be able to demonstrate what you've learned. And
Mhm.
that's like that third level of learning
For sure.
that's really important. So I love that you do that. And I try to do that with the youth students too. Like,
Mhm.
while I'm teaching, I'll ask like a question. That gets them so much more engaged.
Yes.
Do you feel, is it hard to reel them back in sometimes? Like, if you, because I do, I've preached at chapels for elementary,
Mhm.
and like sometimes I've had to not do that because I'll be like, yell out if you know blah blah, and then you lose them. They all start talking.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, there's some communication things that I've learned. So one of them is I start lowering my voice, I lower the cadence, and then sometimes I'll pause and I'll stop talking, and it kind of will zero them in a little bit. or I'll
Wow.
just or I'll sit down, and I just sit down on my and I'm like, and they'll look at me like, what's Pastor Michael doing? And that kind of reels them back in.
That's
So
genius.
yeah, it's little things like that. What I also do every week, we do Superstar of the Day, and there's usually a lot of superstars. And so I'll tell them, if you're sitting up straight in your chair, feet on the floor, if you can touch the floor, smile across your face, but only if you brushed your teeth. And so that gets them to smile, but it gets them often every time. They're sitting up immediately, they're ready to go. And I say, make sure you keep your hands ready to go because we're going to call on you. And so that just is like gets them ready to roll. And it's a couple techniques I've learned to kind of help them.
That's so good.
So,
Because I think our natural response is to try to compete with their volume level, raise our voice,
yep.
maybe talk faster,
Yeah, yeah.
get their attention.
Hmm.
But like when you do when you do the opposite and you quiet yourself and you
Yeah.
like say, they're like, wait, what's going on here?
Yeah.
You
I learned
know?
that one time. I was speaking at one of our VBSs, and somebody actually shared that with me. Like, you ever try lowering your voice a little
Hmm.
bit, kind of bringing it down? I do that often. Yeah, then I'm very animated, so
Yes.
I'm jumping or I'm down, or sometimes I'll be like, "Hey, Billy," and then Billy, and then like while I'm saying, Peter said this, isn't that wild, Billy? And then Billy will turn, and so just kind of bring
Good.
him in.
That's
If
good.
maybe if they're, so,
Yeah. If there's people in our church or people listening and they feel a call to get involved and to volunteer,
mhm,
but they're a little nervous about kids.
mhm,
Maybe they don't have kids or they haven't had kids that age for a long time
yeah.
and they think they might be kind of irrelevant when it comes to it. What would you say to them?
Well, I'd say, yeah, I mean, we have different areas. So not only elementary with me in the gym, but we've got our Stone Kids Juniors. So there's infants, there's toddlers, there's preschool.
Hmm.
We have ministry from birth to sixth grade. So there's different areas. And I also have, even elementary with me, there are, maybe you're not like wanting to be in front of the kids, and that's totally okay. I understand that. But we have volunteers that are more just behind the scenes, and they help out with attendance, or they help out just maybe going to those kids that just need some help a little bit, or just need a
Yeah.
friend. Some kids we often see, they come in, they kind of sit by themselves. We want to be
Hmm.
that friend. And so
Yes.
those things like that, we'd love to have you in the ministry. I'd love to just come talk to me, and we can
Cool.
find a place for you. So.
Well, you want to plug anything? Want to shout out anything?
Yeah, so we had our Christmas Spectacular coming up. That's December 21st, 10 o'clock. There's going to be inflatables indoors. That's going to be in the gym, cookies for everyone. It's going to be awesome. And every child will receive a gift to take home. So that's going to be incredible. And if you have kids, birth to sixth grade, Sunday mornings at 10 o'clock, or Wednesday nights as well, we've got discipleship groups, World Rangers, Girls Ministries. We'd love to have you join us 7 o'clock on Wednesdays.
Awesome. Pastor Michael, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Stone Church podcast. Stay tuned to learn more about what's happening here at Stone Church, get to know our staff, and hear some awesome testimonies. So we will see you next time.